What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, because today we have breaking news that could shake up the entire NFL landscape. A move that could completely reshape the Dallas Cowboys roster and their future in the league. I'm talking about none other than Tyreek Hill, the electrifying wide receiver from the Miami Dolphins, potentially being traded to the Dallas Cowboys in a blockbuster deal. Yes, you heard that right. One of the most dynamic and explosive players in the NFL could soon be donning a star on his helmet. This is a game changer, and today, we're going to dive deep into all the details and implications of this monumental trade. Now, let's take a step back and understand why this trade makes so much sense for the Dallas Cowboys. Over the past few seasons, the Cowboys have been building a strong roster, but it's clear that there's still something missing: an undeniable game-changing weapon on offense. While CeeDee Lamb has emerged as a top-tier wide receiver and Dak Prescott is a proven quarterback, the offense still lacks that second, elite threat that can truly open things up. This is where Tyreek Hill comes in. Known as the Cheetah, Hill has built a reputation as one of the fastest players to ever step onto an NFL field. His ability to stretch the field with his speed, agility, and route-running precision makes him a nightmare for any defense. And right now, the Cowboys could really use that type of weapon. When you look at how the Cowboys' offense has performed over the past few seasons, it's clear they've had success, but they've also faced challenges. Despite having weapons like Lamb and a strong running game with Tony Pollard, the Cowboys have struggled to consistently find a way to beat top-tier defenses, especially when it matters most in the playoffs. The need for a second wide receiver who can consistently take the pressure off of Lamb is undeniable. Tyreek Hill is that player who can open up the offense in ways that no one else can. His ability to change the course of a game in an instant is exactly what this Cowboys team needs to elevate itself from being a good team to a Super Bowl contender. But how exactly would a trade for Tyreek Hill happen? That's the next big question. Well, first off, the Miami Dolphins are not going to just let Hill go for nothing. This would undoubtedly be a blockbuster trade, and the Cowboys would need to be ready to part with significant assets to land one of the league's most explosive wideouts. Hill is still in the prime of his career, and he's under contract for the next several years with the Dolphins on a 4-year, $120 million deal. This means that the Cowboys would not only have to give up a substantial trade package, but also be prepared to absorb Hill's contract into their salary cap, which brings us to the financial side of things. The Cowboys have some serious cap space flexibility heading into the 2025 season, with over $20 million in cap space. This gives them a window of opportunity to make such a trade work. Of course, the real question is whether the Cowboys can negotiate a deal with the Dolphins that would satisfy both teams. The Dolphins, looking to build around quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, may be open to moving Hill if it means getting future assets to improve their roster. That could include draft picks, younger players, and possibly even veterans that fit into the Dolphins' long-term vision. For the Cowboys, they would likely have to part with at least one first-round pick, maybe even two, along with other assets like a second-round pick or a player who could help the Dolphins in their rebuilding process. Now, let's talk about the kind of impact Hill could have on the Cowboys' offense if this trade were to go through. We all know that Hill is not just fast, he's a playmaker, plain and simple. His ability to get open deep downfield or turn a quick screen pass into a 70-yard touchdown makes him one of the most dangerous players in the league. Imagine a scenario where Dak Prescott drops back to pass, and he has Tyreek Hill lined up on one side and CeeDee Lamb on the other. With defenses having to respect both of these playmakers, it opens up so many options for the Cowboys' offense. Hill's speed forces defenses to cover more ground, which could create opportunities for Tony Pollard to explode in the running game, or even give Lamb more space to work with, as defenders are pulled away from the line of scrimmage to account for Hill's deep threat. One of the things that sets Tyreek Hill apart from other wide receivers in the NFL is his versatility. He's not just a deep threat, he's a complete receiver. He can run every route in the book, from quick slants to intricate double moves, and he has the hands and vision to make defenders miss after the catch. This makes him a perfect fit for the Cowboys offense, which under Mike McCarthy has emphasized both the deep ball and short, efficient passing. Hill would give McCarthy even more options to draw up plays that take advantage of the speed and explosiveness Hill brings to the table. But the trade for Hill wouldn't just make the Cowboys offense better, it would have a ripple effect across the entire NFC. The Cowboys are already one of the most talked about teams in the league, and adding someone of Hill's caliber would send a clear message to the entire conference: Dallas is going all in for a Super Bowl. Hill's presence would immediately make the Cowboys one of the favorites in the NFC, and perhaps in the entire NFL, especially when you consider their already stout defense led by Micah Parsons. The potential for a Cowboys-Dolphins trade that brings Tyreek Hill to Dallas could be the piece of the puzzle the team needs to finally break through and win that elusive Super Bowl. Of course, for a trade like this to happen, the Cowboys would also need to find a way to balance their salary cap, which brings us to the question of whether they can restructure contracts to make space for Hill's deal. As we mentioned earlier, the Cowboys have room to maneuver, but they might need to rework some of their current contracts. The most likely candidate for a restructure would be Dak Prescott. As the Cowboys franchise quarterback, Prescott has a massive contract, and while the team has always been willing to invest in him, they might need to convert some of his base salary into a signing bonus to free up immediate cap space. Another possibility is the release or restructuring of certain veterans on the roster who might not be part of the long-term vision. For example, Tyron Smith, the veteran left tackle, has dealt with injuries in recent years, and while he's still a key piece of the line when healthy, the Cowboys could opt to move on from him if it meant securing Hill's services. The Cowboys might also consider releasing Ezekiel Elliott, depending on how they view his future with the team. While Zeke has been a cornerstone for the Cowboys, the rise of Tony Pollard as a legitimate RB1 could make Zeke expendable, allowing the Cowboys to free up even more cap space. Now, let's talk about Tyreek Hill's potential fit within the Cowboys culture. Hill has always played with a chip on his shoulder. He's never been the tallest, but his work ethic, determination, and natural talent have always been on display. Dallas is a city that thrives on its football culture, and Tyreek Hill would likely embrace the opportunity to prove himself on the big stage in front of one of the most passionate fan bases in all of sports. Plus, Jerry Jones, who is no stranger to making bold moves, has always been about adding high-profile talent to his roster. Hill would be the perfect addition to this high-powered Cowboys offense, and we can't forget how Jones has been trying to build a team that can contend for multiple championships over the next few years. So, will this trade happen? It's hard to say for sure, but the pieces are certainly in place for the Cowboys to make a move. The potential to acquire Tyreek Hill would be a game-changer for this offense, and it would instantly elevate the Cowboys' chances of making a deep playoff run. While a trade of this magnitude is no guarantee, it's clear that Hill's addition to the team would take the Cowboys from being a good team to a Super Bowl contender. If Jerry Jones pulls the trigger on this one, it could go down as one of the best trades in Cowboys history. Cowboys Nation, let me know what you think. Is Tyreek Hill the missing piece for the Cowboys? Can this trade actually happen? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more breaking news on everything Cowboys. Until next time, take care and go Cowboys.